After I have finished my perfect binding and glued the edge of it, I want to make sure that the binding is nice and secure and make sure that I don't have to do a second coat of glue along the edge here to keep the pages together. So I'm going to take my clips off, and you remember you wanted this to dry about 24 hours. And then I want to shake the pages a little bit, somewhat gently, to make sure that the pages are actually stuck together, okay? If not, and they're too loose and the pages aren't sticking together, then I might need to do another coat of glue on the edge of the spine, maybe even adding some glue right here to the edge just so that that glue seeps into the individual pages and makes the binding a little bit stronger. So once I have established that my binding is strong enough to keep the pages of my book together, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the second step of making our sketchbook. In the second step, we are going to make the text block. So we're going to add a soft cover to the outside of our pages to prepare it to make the hardcover book binding or hardcover of our book. So some supplies that I'm going to need is I will again need some glue. Okay. I'm also going to need construction paper, thick paper, any color will do. You just want to make sure it is the same size as your pages, as the book itself. So you're going to need the construction paper. You're also going to need a paintbrush and a palette to put the glue, to hold the glue so you can put it onto your book. Also, this is an option. You don't have to have it, but you can add string onto the edge of your book right here. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to use ribbon or string or any kind of bookmark so that you can place it in between your pages and know exactly where you've left off from the day before. Other materials that I'm going to want to have are a cutting mat so that I can cut paper on without damaging the tabletops. I'm going to have one piece of 8.5 by 11 copy paper and my binder clips and an X-Acto knife. So those are the materials that we are going to need in the second step of making the text block of our book. So the first thing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my glue and I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit in one of the wells. That's one of the round areas in my palette. And I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of glue in there. I don't need a whole lot. Okay, we don't want to be wasteful. And then I'm going to go figure out which is the top or the bottom of my book, making sure that the binding is on the left or left-hand side. But at the top of my book, about 3/4 of an inch down, I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of glue and lay that on the edge right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and lay a bookmark on here so that I can mark my pages. So I put that glue down, and now I'm going to go ahead and take my ribbon and just glue it on to the edge of my book. I can just let that dry for a few minutes just to make sure it is secure on the pages. Once I have glued on my bookmark, if I have one, this is an option, you don't have to do it, but once I have glued that on, I'm going to go ahead and put the cover, the text block cover, onto the top and onto the back of my book, of the pages that I've glued together. So I will be needing the construction paper that I have. I will be needing those 2 sheets as well as some glue. All you have to do is you're going to just take some of this glue and put some of it along the edge of the spine, maybe a 1/2 inch. This has the holes here, so just along that area is fine, and just cover approximately 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch along the edge of the front side of my book. So I'm going to add the glue on. Might as well use all that up. Okay. Then I'm going to take one piece of the construction paper and I'm going to line it up with the edge here and paste it down. Okay. All right. There we go. Then I'm going to repeat on the back side of my book. So I need a little bit more glue. Dip my brush in about 3/4 to 1/2 inch along the spine on the back side of the book. Put a generous amount of glue along the edge here. And then I'm going to take my second sheet of construction paper and line it up along the edge of the spine. Press it down. Okay. All right, voila. Okay, so I have a nice soft cover on the outside of my sketchbook. Once I've put the soft cover or the soft text spine on here, I'm going to take my second piece or my next piece of paper, the white copy paper, and I'm going to be wrapping around the binding to add a little bit extra strength to the binding or to the spine. So what I will need is I need my cutting board. Okay, I'm going to place that down. I need the piece of paper, the 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. And I'm going to cut this so it's about 8 inches. So it's already 8 inches along the edge here. And I want just to make sure it's about 5 inches or so on the side. We don't need the full piece of paper. So I'm going to go ahead, maybe mark off around 5 or 6. Okay, make a little notch with my ruler, drag my ruler down to the bottom. I made it 6 at the top, so I'm going to make it about 6 inches on the bottom. Attach the 2 notches here. Attach the notch that I made on the top with the notch on the bottom. Draw a line. Okay. Then I'm going to take my X-Acto knife, lay my ruler along this line, and I'm going to cut. Make sure you are careful when cutting towards yourself. Go slow, and I'm going to cut my piece of paper. Then what I'm going to go ahead and do is I am going to place some more glue along the spine of the book. So I'm going to take my paintbrush, my glue, and go ahead and lay some glue along the spine. After I've applied the glue to the edge of my spine, I'm going to take the white piece of copy paper that I cut, and I'm going to apply my book or set my book on it right in the center. Make sure it lines up with the sides here. Okay, lay this down and go ahead and fold it over. Make sure it's a little tricky here. Okay, fold that over. Make sure it's lined up with the edge. What this is going to do is just add some extra strength to the spine of the book. Okay, so I'm going to make some creases in here. I'm going to press this down rather hard so that the paper is actually sticking to the edge, I can use a tool. Your ruler edge will work. Okay, so making sure to make some even creases along the edge and on the spine. Make sure that this crease is nice and solid. All right, so I've glued it along the spine. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue it to the back and the front of the book. So gluing can get messy, so I'm just going to take the other half of my paper, and that way if I glue over, it won't get on my cutting mat. So I'm going to apply some glue on this side. This side of the book. It's already coming off here, so I want to make sure to add a little bit more glue. Okay. Want to hold up the edge of it. It's a little bit flimsy, so this takes a little bit of coordination to put some of this glue down and hold the edge of the book up. But you want to make sure it's maintaining that strength along the spine of your sketchbook. Add this, add some glue on here. Go ahead and fold this over. Get my bookmark out of the way here. Fold this over, press it down nice and stiff. Take my ruler, make sure it's pushed down really well. Sometimes the glue can be messy. I'm gonna wipe that up. We're not really gonna see much of this, so it's not super serious that it's perfect. Okay, now we're gonna go to the other side. Hold it upright and put glue on this edge as well. So put some glue down here. More glue is necessary. Just a little bit more because I'm almost finished. Lay this down right now. And fold this over on top of that. Move this out of the way so it doesn't take my ruler and make sure it's nice and secure onto the back cover of my book. Maybe run one more time over it with the ruler just to ensure that it's glued down and nice and solid. So in the end, you should have your sketchbook with a nice soft cover on the outside. Okay. So far, there's our book. All right. So once I have added the soft cover, the construction paper onto my sheets and added the paper to go along the spine, this is what my product will look like at the end of step 2. This step adds a little bit of extra strength. It also gives it a second cover inside of your book to help make it look a little bit more complete, but most importantly, just to add a little bit more strength onto the edge of the binding. Right? I also have my option item, which is to add that piece of string to the inside, and then I can use that as to mark each of my pages.